feel like I'm trapped, even though you got me this roadmap. Why won't I open it up? Why won't I open it up?
Hello again. This light is crazy in my glasses, so I'm just gonna take them off for now. Is everything working? I hope. Ooh. Yeah. So I brought out the mic arm. Um, fully adjustable. Still trying to figure out where I want it. Yeah, I noticed that the last episode there's a lot of mic noise and I am trying to fix that. And now there's a shadow. You know what? It does not matter because maybe a lot of people aren't going to watch it. Maybe they're going to listen to it on, whatever. So yeah, welcome back to number 2 of Mercy's Path. I'm Amanda Koopa, who I went over a lot of my background in podcasting, I guess, and just life last episode. They're not episodes, they're just numbers in a series, I suppose. I've moved, I've upgraded my room. It's probably gonna like I had all this stuff in here, it just wasn't in the shot. Last week, I just sat down and was like, I'm gonna do this. And I didn't really prepare and I just sat in my chair and it was all I didn't have water, it was just it was what it was. And this time I put some thought into it. I brought out my stuff and I'm a little bit more aesthetically prepared. Um, but I never know what I'm gonna say. So we're just gonna continue on from last time, assuming you tuned in last time. Um, so I guess I wanted to talk about something that I mentioned near the end that I didn't want to start this podcast until I was perfect, until everything was perfect. And I mentioned that I wanted to be skinny when I started it. Now, I used to be really like too skinny. Like my friends were literally telling me like, you need to gain weight. Like I can see all of the bones I can see all your collarbones. Um, I can see like my neck was all gone. um, and I'm at a very healthy weight right now. Like I feel good. Um, I feel good. I look in the mirror and I like what I see. It's just I don't know. I'm not optimal. I'm not optimal weight right now. So I would like to be at optimal weight. Um, and anyways, so I guess we'll get into the story of how I gained all this weight. So, as you know, Jesus came into my life, and then because of that, a lot of things. When the Holy Spirit enters you, there's a lot of things that gotta go. Bad things, in particular. So, one of the things that I was doing on a regular basis was partaking in the use of marijuana, like pretty much every night. I wasn't a daytime like stoner type person. I was just doing it every night before bed and going to sleep really early. And you know, it wasn't great. I mean, at the time, I very much believed that it was helping me. It was stopping me from dreaming because I was having problems with like nightmares and stuff back, in my life. And side note, there's going to be so many side notes. There's going to be so many little trails of things and then I hope I get back to what I was talking about. But if I don't, like, I'm sorry. Go in the comments and tell me what I need to go back to. Um, but yeah, God gives you dreams, right? And God gives you dreams and visions, like warnings and prophecies and stuff. And so, when I didn't want to dream, I was basically like being like, no, God. I didn't know God. I didn't know God, but I was like, no, God, no, to him talking to me in my dreams. And so, anyway, now I dream lots and it's lovely. But I was, smoking weed to not dream. And, you know, people say it's not addictive, but oh my goodness, yes it is. Physically, mentally, emotionally, that's all I wanted. And I at first when I started, like the first year, I was like, okay, I can do this a little bit here, a little bit there. But then it became daily and nightly, and then at one point I couldn't sleep without it, and it was like causing problems because like I would go somewhere and I wouldn't be able to fall asleep if unless I smoked weed. And when I'm staying with my parents, or like if I'm staying with people I respect, or like people that don't smoke weed, they don't like want you smelling like that and stuff like that. So it was kind of becoming a problem, just a real big inconvenience. And then you don't want to go anywhere because you don't want to be not be able to get high. And then all of a sudden I'm not answering my phone at night. Like people are calling me and needing things and I'm not answering my phone because I'm too high to talk, right? So it's just like not good. Anyways, and I mean to each their own. If you partake in that, like no judgment obviously. I'm a lot clearer, um emotionally stable, mentally stable without it. But as soon as I quit smoking weed, I started to gain weight because I think it really does something to your metabolism. Like, also, I wasn't eating a lot. Like, you think that a stoner is like having the munchies and eating all the time, but no. Um, I was barely eating at all. I would only eat after I smoked weed. Like, I literally would not want to eat. I wasn't hungry ever if I wasn't high. And so that was a big problem. And yeah, so when I quit, I kind of thought that I would, I went through a little period of, I guess you would say, withdrawals, and that was awful. Um, Not really though. Like I had a couple nights that I really couldn't sleep. Um, but that was kind of it. Sorry, I'm distracted because my dog just came into the room. And he's gonna want me to love him. Anyways, I remember the day that I quit, it was my birthday. It was March 21st, 2023, I believe. And which again, like if I was still addicted to smoking weed before nighttime and then I had gone to like camp or done these all-nighters with the youth group, I would not been able to handle it. Like I would have been a mess. Like, I would have been like sneaking out of the cabin to smoke weed. Somebody would have smelled it, would have gotten in trouble. Like it's like and I know that I just know that that would have been a huge problem. And so it was like, thank God that I quit. But anyway, I quit on my birthday. I told my daughter knew that I did it. She would see me go outside and be like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" And so, because it was legal, right? It was like, okay, those people drink. This is what I do. And so I promised her that I'd quit. She's like, "When are you gonna quit that?" And I was like, "I'll quit on my birthday." And so I got, smoked for the last time on my birthday, 2023, March 21st, 2023. And yeah, that was it. And I want to say I never looked back, but in 2 weeks later, I found some in my room, and I was like, you know what? I'm having a bad day. I'm just gonna go outside and smoke this, and then go to bed. And it was, it was the Lord. The Lord did His work on me. I smoked and I just took like as much as I normally would after 2 weeks of being totally off it. And the world was falling apart. Like I was questioning whether I was real. I was crying. I was like laying in bed, unable to move, and literally like crying because I was like, is Jesus back? Like, am I dying? Am I being raptured? Like, whoa. And then I started crying because I'm like, oh, I hope everyone I love is getting raptured too, you know? And I was just like going crazy. And then I got up. All of a sudden, I felt so sick and I like really power puked off the edge of my bed. Like, like, like I was on my knees, hands and knees over the edge of my bed, just like, bleh, like puking. It was so brutal, and I was crying, and I was like, "Lord, please, Lord, like, please stop this. I'm sorry. I'll never smoke again. I promise. I'll never do it again." And I will never do it again. Like, legit, that was the worst. I am, like, terrified to do it now. Like, I I remember, like, way back a long time ago, one of the first times that I did shatter, like, all I can it was like Donkey Kong slot machines. Like, it was like anyways, it's weird. It's weird. It's weird. I can't explain it. But if you know Donkey Kong Country and you know when you go into Funky Kong's like airplane thing, And that music would like blare in my head with these like visions of like Donkey Kong and like but in the slot machine effect. It was so bizarre. And so anyways, that happened to me also when I was like dying of it. And yeah, I'll never do it again. Never do it again. And I had a little bit of trouble quitting, like just for falling asleep a couple times, but I didn't really get like anxious or angry or emotionally unstable to what I recall. I remember the first night I just was like, Lord, like help me sleep. Like I quit and I gave this to you. And I believe that God helped me through overcoming that addiction 100%. And I thank him for that because he is so great. And the dog's in here chewing on its bone. Like, bro, can you please go in another room? I love you so much. Um, yeah. So, anyway, quit smoking weed. I don't remember. Oh, yes. And so then I gained weight after I quit. Because I guess it did something to my metabolism or it made me eat in a weird schedule. It's kind of like intermittent fasting, I guess, which does work. I have a whole speech on fasting, but we'll get into that maybe. Um, hey buddy. Yeah, you're a good boy. Ooh, yes. Um, so gained weight. Um, and then plot twist. I love you. Ah, this thing. Okay, go chew on it over there. Like way over there. Stay. Stay. Sit. Sit. Good boy. Stay. Ah, he's good. He's a good boy. Um, yeah. So I can lean forward a little bit. I'm like trying to stay back. I don't know why. Uh, ever since I got to know God, because of my career path at the time and doing all these adult things online. Okay, no, no, you're gonna go. Stay. It's not gonna stay. I was feeling very convicted in my spirit about everything to do with sexuality. I did not want to be in a casual sexual relationship with someone I had been in it with for a really long time. And I don't have to get into all that, but like I really was just being convicted again and again in the Bible. Every time the Bible said the word prostitute, I like felt that in my soul. And I just felt very convicted. I was feeling very convicted. And I did not want to do that in the relationship I was in anymore unless I was married. And that hasn't happened yet. Anyways, I had a few moments of weakness, and I really think that it's important to have people around you that don't want you to sin. Like for example, if I'm with my friend, my best friend, if I was like, "Hey, like I want to get super high and get drunk," she would be like, "Amanda, like no, like you quit, like that's like no, I'm not doing that with you." But then when you have people around you who are like, "Yes, let's do the bad thing that we're not supposed to do," I don't think that's very healthy. And so I don't know. My solution is to avoid those situations entirely. But anyways, I had a moment of weakness last year and ended up being pregnant. And um, much to my surprise, you know, uh, I had been with this person for a really long time, and so it wasn't like a huge like it was surprising. But it was a result of sin, and I knew that, and I felt very like conflicted about it because I had really, really like I have a 13-year-old, daughter, and I love her. She's amazing. But I had always wanted to have another child, right? And I was on, I had IUDs for 10 years from my 20s into my 30s. So the possibility of getting pregnant was never a thing. And then when I was suffering from IUD poisoning, that's a whole nother story. I had it removed and I just never went on any birth control after that because again, I was with, you know, the same person forever and um I didn't feel the need to go on anything because I thought, if this happens, I want it to happen. Like I said, I had always wanted another kid. Because babies are awesome, and we're supposed to be fruitful and multiply and all that. And again, I was being convicted by the Holy Spirit, like, why are you doing this when you should be being fruitful and multiplying, right? And so, anyways, ended up pregnant. Found out that I was pregnant at camp, like at summer camp. I was like late, and then me and my friend went and got like a test. What is this? What did this move a little bit? Anyways, um, we went and got a test, and it was true. Like, I felt it, and then very sadly, I had a miscarriage, which, whoa, like, would not recommend. Um, and I was so that whole summer I was very tired, and because pregnancy takes it out of you. You're building a life, and all of this energy is going into that one spot, and you're just like tired. And so I was so tired and just lazy and lethargic, and like really just not wanting to get out of bed. And then I started to feel really sick, and then I started bleeding, and then I was like, and then the stress and the depression and the emotional just like trauma of having a miscarriage was like, I didn't want to get out of bed for weeks. Like, I'm so lucky to have the employer that I have that just like let me work from home and let me just grieve and cry all the time. And so yeah, so that happened. Let's go on a little side note here. Uh a miscarriage, you like, depending how far along you are, I guess, you go into labor. like contractions, and like oh man, I was not ready for that. Nobody warned me about that. Like, I had been going in for ultrasounds, like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because they couldn't find the heartbeat at my first ultrasound, which was like 12 weeks. I forget, 9 weeks. I don't know. Again, a blur. It was only last year. I'm getting old, I think, maybe. um yeah, so couldn't find a heartbeat, and then went to the ultrasound, and they're like, "Oh, it looks promising. It looks like it's going to be okay." And then go to the other doctor, and, "Oh, no, I don't think so." And then start bleeding again. I was at the emergency room, and they're like, "Oh, well, your blood still says you're pregnant." And go to the ultrasound and be like, "No." you know. And then all of a sudden, a week after this, like, up and down, we don't know what's going to happen. I went into, like, yeah, labor in my house, and just blood, and yeah, it was awful. And yeah, full on contractions, gave birth to, you know, a miscarriage. That was pretty terrible. And I was really mad for a while, because so I go to the hospital, and I'm like, ugh, like in labor essentially. And I go to the bathroom because I like feel something like coming, and just like boop into the toilet. And I called the nurse in, and was like, "Hey, like, help, like, there's something in there." And like, I was only like, what, like between 9 and 12 weeks, I think. And so, it's still, you know still a you know a baby. um um his name was Samuel. But anyways, the nurse flushed the toilet, and I didn't really think much of it at the time, but like afterwards I was like mad, like, should I have like got him out of there, put him in a casket? I don't know. It's too late at that point. And I mean, I don't know what the protocol for something like that is that's never happened to me before. Um so yeah, so I experienced a miscarriage, and I was really mad at God at the time. Like, why would you do this? Like, I prayed so hard when I was going back and forth with the ultrasound people and the doctor, like, please, like, Lord, like, please, like, please just bring my baby back to life. And when it didn't happen, I was like, bro, like, hey. Yeah, so I was obviously mad at God. But hindsight, I would not have been able to do all the things that I've done in this last year had I had been pregnant and had a baby this year. There's a lot of lives I wouldn't have been able to touch. There's a lot of, things I just wouldn't have been able to do. And so, Lord, you know, thank you. Thank you for, your crazy cool plan. And I was like Hannah from the Bible in like First Samuel. I was like, Lord, like please give me give me a baby. Like, and I when I found out I was pregnant, I read Hannah again and was like, Lord, I commit 100%, like this baby is yours. He's going to be pure and he's going to be like Samuel the prophet. And there's no way in this 2024 world that I would have been able to have a baby and have it be pure and have it be like blameless and like good and a prophet like Samuel. So it's like God just took him and he's with him, right? And like, as much as we want to be like sad and grieve the loss, it's like that's that child's gain is he's with God already. And I don't know the gender. I mean, I wasn't along enough to know, but I just believe he was a boy and his name is Samuel. So, I'll meet him hopefully when I die or get raptured. Hopefully I get raptured. I mean, Lord knows I'm not not perfect in any means, but I just, I look forward to the day that I get to meet him, even though I didn't get to meet him. Yeah, so in all that process, having a miscarriage, it takes a big toll on your body, and I was recovering from that. And sorry. And um and then all of a sudden my body was like hurting, right? Like I thought like, oh man, because your body changes obviously when you're pregnant, and like your hips and your leg, like just your chemistry, your body chemistry changes. And so as I was like getting back to work and stuff, was started having this crazy hip problem. Now remember that I had been, from camp to the end of the summer, I was doing camp. I did camp and running around playing all kinds of games and stuff. Um and then I was just so tired after camp that I just was like really lethargic. I wasn't doing much. And my knee was always hurting and I didn't really think, I just thought, oh, I'm just being lazy and I'm not on it enough. But then when I started going back to work, then my hip started hurting and I thought it was something to do with the miscarriage. So I go to the chiropractor and I'm like, I think my hip's out. Like I just had a miscarriage and I think that something happened to my hip. Okay, bro. I am so serious. Get. Anyway. Stay. Stay. Good boy. No. No. Stay. This life. This dog, man. Oh, I thought getting him a bone would just keep him busy, but he wants to chew it beside me, and it's so loud and distracting. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm like, I can hear it. Um, so go to the chiropractor. I'm like, I think my hip's out, and no. And she does this adjustment, and it doesn't really do anything. Um, and then I go back a week later, and she does like this other adjustment where she like puts me on this table and like drops me. It's like a drop table adjustment. And right away I was like, ooh, that didn't feel right. And so um yeah, anyway, I had a slipped disc. She slipped my disc. I will never go back to a chiropractor. I don't care. I don't care. I will never go back to a chiropractor. That's the second time that I've been to a chiropractor and they just made my issue worse. So um so then I went home and like the next day or next few days, I could not walk. I couldn't get out of bed. I literally had to crawl to the bathroom. There was a point where I couldn't even get to the bathroom and I just had to pee in a bowl in my bedroom. And then the next morning, I could not move and had to call an ambulance. Firefighters had to come and carry me out on this like black, body bag thing. because the way that my house at the time was built, it was like, front door, bedroom, like there's no way you could have got a stretcher in. So they carried me out on this body bag thing. And yeah, they shot me up with like 4 doses of morphine. Nothing would take the pain away. I don't remember what they ended up giving me, but when the pain finally went away, I could move. Um, and then yeah, they sent me home with all these painkillers. And I was on painkillers and muscle relaxants for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, maybe longer. I don't remember. But yeah, I could barely move. I couldn't walk. Like getting up to walk to the kitchen was like horrible. And I was just so out of breath and just tired. And so I was basically bedridden for I think almost a month, like between the miscarriage, the depression, the crying, and then the broken back. This all happened between September and December. I didn't even make it to my Christmas party at work that year because I could not walk or sit. I could only lay. Thank gosh for being able to work from home on the internet, honestly. I didn't do that the entire pandemic. The entire pandemic, I was at work every day, every single day. Um, and it was all that finally put me at home for a while. And so just, a month on your butt laying down, 2 months on your butt laying down, you know, obviously gained more weight. And I so then in I think January of last year, I decided I wanted to do something about it. And so then I hired this nutrition coach plan thing. Never, never, ever, ever, ever again. It was the biggest waste of money in my life. Ugh, I had such a horrible experience. And I was warned. I was warned by so many people. Um, oh, you're dealing with these people? Like, do not. This is my experience. And I was like, I always blamed the person. Like, oh, it's probably your fault. You probably didn't commit, blah, blah, blah. I fully committed and I felt worse and worse and worse. And yeah, it turned out that I had like probably a candida overgrowth in my body, which they told me day one. After I did like this survey, I gotta adjust. I'll get my leg up. There we go. Um, yeah, they told me like day one that I probably had a candida overgrowth. And then they gave me this like diet plan that was like a candida's playground. And so I'm eating like 4 times a day and working out all this time and just feeding candida, just making it so much worse. And then I was like feeling so terrible, so terrible. And then I was telling my friend, like, hey, yeah, I'm dealing with this person and this is what they've told me and but I just feel awful. Like I'm not losing any weight. I was like lose 2 pounds, then gain 4, then lose 5 pounds and gain. It was very like just kind of even, I guess. And I was going to the gym super hard and not really losing any weight. I think I lost a couple inches just from being active again, but I felt horrible. Like I was just so tired and just feeling awful. And so this my friend told me like, "Well, have you ever heard of Dr. Mindy Pels?" Like because I don't really think that you should be eating this much in a day. Like our bodies are built to go for periods of time without food. And I was like, well, these people are telling me I need to eat again and again all day. And she's like, no, like, I think you should listen to this lady. And so I looked up Dr. Mindy Pels. And like, I don't know her enough to be like, I endorse this lady in any way, but she definitely, the things that I learned from her talking, um, changed my life. Like, I just feel amazing now. And like brain fog, I had so much brain fog because when you're eating all the time, if you don't give your body like 8 to 12 hours, or is it 12 to 16 hours or something? I'll do some research and let you know. But um, you know, if are eating all the time, if you're never like giving your body a break, then because after so many hours, your body produces ketones that go to your brain and they're like brain food. And if you're never, letting your body produce those ketones, then you're going to be having a brain fog. So, um So she actually talks a lot about cycle fasting, which you fast based on where you are with your menstrual cycle, because like men can fast however they want because they have a 24-hour hormone cycle, whereas women it's very like, the menstrual phase, follicular phase, ovulation phase, like there's a lot of luteal phase, there's a lot of phases, and you should eat like, so for all of those phases, you know like for example, you're uh, and I'm gonna probably gonna get this wrong. I should have researched it. I'll put something up here so that you know. But there's a certain phase in your cycle that you need more estrogen. And estrogen loves when you fast, when you don't eat carbs. Estrogen wants protein. Um, Whereas progesterone, I think, wants, carbs and chocolate and stuff like that. So you should be feeding your body what your hormones want, because it's not just about like cortisol and stuff like that. You have to get to the root of like your actual like female biology. And so I started doing this cycle fasting, and holy moly, like I all of a sudden could think clearly. And all of a sudden I just feel better. I feel smarter, faster, like wittier, like um I feel clearer. I can work faster. I can figure things out easier. And my body just doesn't feel tired because I'm giving it what it needs when it needs it, not just like stuffing it whenever it's like breakfast time. Like and I also learned this. So breakfast is the most important meal of the day, literally invented by cereal companies, by Kellogg's back in like the day. I don't know what year, so I'm just gonna say back in the day. Um, yeah, literally invented by cereal companies. Ever since I quit eating breakfast, I feel amazing. Like I don't feel, because like before I would eat breakfast and then be starving by like 11 o'clock. Whereas now I don't eat till like 2, 3, 4 o'clock. I pretty much intermittent fast all the time. Um, just just differently. Like some days, sometimes I'll go 24 hours, without eating. When I'm doing like a because there's all these levels of fasting. Like 24 hours is like this kind of thing, or 36 hours is a gut reset. 48 hours is like resets the things in your brain. I really should have like researched this again. Like I listened to her lots of times, and I understand it for my own sake, but explaining it is a whole nother ball game. Like you to teach it is like ugh. Anyways, um so there's all these levels of like certain fasts reset certain things in your body. And that's just how we're built from like, from the hunter gatherer days, right? But now food is so accessible to us that we're eating it all the time and it's doing nothing for us. Like fasting is so, oh, and like the biggest, most important part about fasting is that autophagy. So after 17 hours, autophagy begins in your body after 17 hours of fasting. Autophagy is the activity of cell recycling. So all of your bad cells are being cleaned out and your good cells are eating the bad cells, and like you're basically recycling the inside of your body, which is like super good for like healing disease and stuff. And so my first 36-hour fast, I wanted to die. Like I went from eating, 4 times a day. Like that includes like breakfast, lunch, snacks and supper. Ugh. And I felt terrible. And so one day I heard Dr. Mindy Pell's. I did this 24-hour fast, or 36 hours, and I was like I was sweating like bullets and like rolling around on the couch just like in so much pain, because it's like the bacteria inside me was like feed me, and I was like no, I'm not. And then I had like this is so disgusting and whatever. um and then I expelled some stuff out of my body within just after the first 24-hour fast, and it was like something inside me died that was killing me, and I feel a lot better. And I do that now often, and it happens, every once in a while, because no matter what you eat, you're always picking up something. Like if you're gonna eat, I really don't want to eat sushi anymore because I feel like every time I eat sushi, I have like stuff going on, maybe parasites or something. And then when I do a fast, it's like, okay, that was inside me. That's disgusting. Um, so yeah, I definitely 100% recommend fasting. I don't know how it works for men, but for women, definitely map it to your cycle, and I'll put up maybe links to Mindy or the map or whatever. But anyways, so then I after that whole experience with that company, those like coaches, like just never get a coach because they didn't teach me anything that I couldn't have just Googled. Like I, went to them for an answer. Like I was desperate to be like, okay, what should I do? And they just gave me basically like every coach is like, oh, it's personalized. No, it wasn't. If it was personalized, it would have been a anti-candida diet or, and they also told me, oh, we're big on accountability. We make sure we hold people accountable. And the coach person that I had was just like way too nice and like, oh yeah, whatever. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, that's all good. Like, no, that's not. I told them from the beginning, like, I need accountability and I want to be told, like, hey, no, this isn't right. And yeah, just like sensitive pushover type people should not be health coaches, maybe. And also, like, it costs so much money again for stuff I could have Googled. Like, there's all these free apps out there and just free information. Just try things and see if it works for you. And I give they did give me a meal plan, but again, I've found the same exact meal plan on tons of other websites and people's Instagrams. So it's just like it was not worth how expensive it was at all. And of course, in the contracts, it's like no money back guarantee, even if we totally just don't care. Like it's so ridiculous. But yeah, so don't ever get a health coach ever. I don't care who it is. I don't care what company it is. Just you and your friend do the research, Google stuff, find stuff, and try what works for you. Because Mindy Pels gives all the information away for free. Yes, you can buy her book, but if you don't, she's got YouTube videos and she's on all these podcasts. And I put all the information together just from her Instagram and listening to her talk. So, um, and she has benefited my life much more than Lifestyle You ever did. So, um, so yeah, just stay away from health coaching because it's so ridiculous. And yeah, and so after all that, I was still like upset and like discouraged, like, oh, I can't believe I fell for that, even after everybody warned me. And it's too bad places like that don't have reviews because like if they had a place for reviews, I know at least 10 to 12 people who'd be like, yeah, 1 star. uh it's too bad. And I hope that I gave them my exact, like I gave them a paragraph, a long bullet point list of this is why I hated this, constructive criticism, I guess you could say. And it was basically met with like, well, do you want to continue working together? And it's like, no, I don't trust you anymore, like you goofy people. Anyway, and so it's kind of discouraged, but then now I'm back into the gym. I've been fasting on and off this whole time, cycle fasting. Um and yeah. um and now I'm back at the gym. I love going to the gym. I love working out. I usually work out to worship music, like literally that's the best. Like running on the treadmill to praise is like lovely. Like, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Let everything. Like literally, it's the best. Yeah, and I haven't even got into like the best part of this last year. So again, because of the miscarriage and not having, the baby, it would have been due in April. I had my own show at the Vic Juba Theater, which was an absolute dream come true. I always wanted to perform there, and like I was blessed to have one of my really best friends, Shauna, sing with me up on the stage. She was harmonizing with me, and she's just so lovely. She's such an amazing singer, and I know she loves harmonizing, but I wish she would just like sing and I could harmonize with her because like she's just incredible. And anyways, um, and then at camp, I led a couple days of junior youth camp in the worship with the young leaders, trying to teach them like how to like lead. And then, just things were happening, and Shauna ended up asking me to lead senior youth camp, so I did that, and that was the first for me. Just leading worship, I never really felt like, I've been a singer for 15 years, but leading worship just felt like out of my scope. Like I felt like I wasn't capable of that. Like I'm not good enough to do that because that's like for God and that's serious. But I did it and it was wonderful. And then when we got back from camp, we started these night services at church, like shortly, like I think a month into the fall. And I was leading the night services, worship, just like at camp, like just dancing and have a good time and just making worshiping God fun. And I learned a lot about the Holy Spirit. And again, I would not have been able to probably get a lot of this done, or done a lot of this, because if I had like a new baby, right? So, I still really want more kids. I don't know, one, two, three, who knows? I'm done wanting. I really am. I'm done. I'm just going to take what God gives me, whatever that may be. It's God's plan. And again, like with everything that happened last year and then all the blessings that happened this year, um, I'm not in charge of my life. God is. It's all in his hands. This podcast is in his hands. Um, you know, he's just so good. And I just love the way he works. Like he can take tragedy and turn it into glory. And now I can relate to women who have lost babies. Like I always thought, like, how could you miss something so much that you never met or never got to like really spend any time with? Or like, you never heard the laugh, you never talked to it, you never held it really in your arms, right? But now I understand. I understand that losing a baby, you know, is awful, and I'll just say I had an abortion when I was 18 years old. I had just turned 18 years old. Otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get it, because you got to get parents permission if you're under 18 in Canada, and you can only get it up to 3 months, and I was just on the cusp of 3 months pregnant. And I was with a guy who basically, like, when I told him like I'm pregnant, he was like I still can just picture the look in his eyes, just so big and so wide, like and he said, "You ruined my life." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like we had been together for a while. Like I thought we loved each other. Like I thought this would be okay. And like granted that time in my life I was not being very like responsible as far as like birth control pills probably, or I was on antibiotics. I remember I was sick around that time. And so anyway, he told me like if you don't get an abortion, I'm going to make sure that baby dies. And yeah, so um yeah, so I walked, I believe I took a bus to Saskatoon. I walked 18 blocks by myself to go get this abortion. And it was, I was always pro life before I had it. And then after I had it, I was very pro choice, only because I felt so guilty for doing it. And years later, the trauma of that caught up with me, like, oh my gosh, like I killed I killed a baby. And then when I had the miscarriage, I was like, I'm sorry, Lord. Like I'm so sorry that I threw away the first one you ever gave me. And then I did have like a child. Like so I was 18 at the abortion. When I was 21, I had my daughter, which I is alive and downstairs and probably listening to music that I banned explicit content from her Spotify. She's so mad at me. I'm gonna take it off probably, but I just don't want her to listen to bad music anyway. Anyway, she's downstairs. She's lovely. She's a blessing. And I did feel guilty about being so upset about the miscarriage, because I was like, why don't I appreciate the daughter that I do have? And so her and I are super tight now. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I don't remember what the point of all that was, um, but yeah, having abortion is very traumatic. Like you literally rip a living thing from out of your body. It's not natural. Um, and I don't care, I don't care what people say about that. You know, abortion is literally the practice of sacrificing babies. Truly, like you're killing a baby for whatever reason, and you know, I think it's like what 2% of all abortions account for rape victims. And even so, like, why should a child pay for the sins of the father? If like a man does that to a woman, why is it that baby's fault? Why does that baby have to die because of that? And there's tons of children who are the product of rape who are alive who are like, oh, so my mom should have aborted me. Like that's not a good argument. I just think there's no good reason for it. um and I regret it. Like I regret being allowing myself to be bullied into it. um and people say, oh, you could have done something, you could have told someone, you could have blah blah blah, and like I know that, but I know that now. But when you're an 18-year-old who's been in an abusive relationship for years and this person that you're with literally makes plans to kill people, um it's hard to imagine that you'll ever be safe from that unless you do what that person tells you to do. And I learned too late in life that you can't be scared of the threats of men. Like, you know but again, I didn't know God back then, and now that I do, I understand it all in hindsight. And again, like, so I think that God has really, I said this last time, God really prepared me for everything that I do in life. And I can relate to women specifically who have committed the worst sins. Like, oh, you had an abortion? Yeah, no, me too. Oh, you know, did a lot of inappropriate sexual things? Yeah, me too. Oh, you are ashamed and feel like a, or yeah, me too. Um, you know, oh, you had a miscarriage? Me too. You know what I mean? And so it's like God has prepared me for that empathy that I'm gonna need, um, for other women, um, and men too. I mean, I get it. I No, I don't. I'm not gonna pretend I do. I'm not gonna pretend I get anything from a man's perspective. I really don't understand sometimes. I really don't. Um, and that's just being real. But I feel like, especially because I work with the youth now. um, I love youth kids. I feel like I can help, like I want to help guide them away from the choices that I made as a young girl. Because just so much of my life I spent feeling unsafe. And that's something I forgot to say last time. I mentioned, the thoughtful podcast that I used to do, the two chicks in a podcast I used to do. But I forgot about the very, very short-lived Freak Shows Oasis, where I was literally just diving into my childhood and calling out the people who abused me. Very short-lived, very unhinged. I Because I hadn't thought about those things for so long. I just got up one day and decided to talk about them, and it sent me into a spiral of like anger, and like I was just basically reliving it all. So um so yeah, had to recover from my own choice there. That was not the time. God was not calling me to do a podcast at that time. And I see now why it did not go well, because, if it's not God's plan, it's not going to work. If it's evil, it's not going to work. That which lives in the darkness will be brought to light. The lies will all be exposed. And yeah, so God has prepared me for all of this. And I love him for it. Even though you look back at things and you're like, man, oh, oh, you were assaulted. Oh, you met someone you respected and they assaulted you. Me too. Yeah. So it's just crazy, the life that we live, and I'm just so thankful for it all, for all of it. And okay, well, I prayed before I started this that God would just use my mouth for His will, and that I would only say what He wanted me to. Wow, my piano is very dangerously. I thought it was leaning like okay, but it's leaning vicarious, like no vicariously. What's the word? Come on, come on. I can't think of the word. That's very very nice. I forget what I was saying. Oh yeah, I prayed that God speak through me, and hopefully I spoke the truth with love. And I don't know. I just talk. Okay, I just she just goes. I just go, man. I just go. Be okay. So that's it. We're gonna pray to end it. Um, dear God, I just love you so much. Thank you for preparing me for whatever it is I need to be prepared for. I am just so thankful that you came into my life, and I just pray that anyone listening could come away with something, feeling, you know, validated, feeling encouraged, feeling curious. God, I just pray that people will seek your face and choose you, because living for you, God, is the best. It's just the best. I love you so much. I give you all the praise and all the glory. I just think you're the best. I just think you're such the best. Okay. In Jesus' name, amen. And if you want prayer for anything, comments, I would love to pray for you, with you. I'd like to start a prayer time on this. Like at the end, I can go through prayer requests and we can all pray together. Because prayer is so powerful. I remember the first time I ever, okay, I've said this to lots of people, but the first time I ever went up for prayer changed my life. You know, the pastor's wife prayed with me and it changed my life. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at him. I love you so much. He's such a good boy. He's a good boy. Oh, he's just the best. Do you hear this? Snort. Oh, I love him. Yeah. Yeah, and like if I had a baby, there's no way I would have been able to have a dog. Dogs and babies are too much work at the same time, especially a puppy. Hey, puppy. Okay, that's it. See you next time. Oh, what is this? What is this? Is this jazz hands? Come on, Amanda. Be cooler. Be cooler.